evening, and welcome to another episode of What's So Funny, the show that probes the minds, the brains, the psyches of the people who make the funny. Over the years, NBC's Last Comic Standing has had hundreds of contestants, if not more, but only 7 champions. And we've got one of them for you tonight. Iliza Shlesinger was the youngest winner and only female comic to have won the competition, and dare I say, by far the best looking. I spoke to Iliza in a cramped office at Lafflines Comedy Club in New Westminster between shows a couple weeks ago. First up, though, let's listen to Iliza in action from Last Comic Standing.
What's up, Los Angeles? It's nice to be home. Woo! Did you guys play sports when you were in school? Anybody here play sports? Remember on game day when your coach would come to school dressed up, and if you had a female coach, she'd come dressed up as a man? Right? They show up to school rocking like loafers, khakis, a blazer, like, hey. You're like, hi, ma'am, looking handsome. Right? And they always had tight khakis so as to attract other female athletic directors. And when they talk to you, they get in like that athletic lunge. They'd be like, all right, listen up. It's always super awkward because there were bulges and seams. Looked like a topographical map of the Andes covered in khaki. She's like, all right, you guys, listen up. We need to beef up our defense. And you're sitting there on the bench, crotch level, thinking what a poor choice of words beef is at this point. Right? My favorite part about school, the game I loved to play the most was Oregon Trail. Anyone else? And I never played it to win. I always played it to see how badly I could mess up my family. They'd be like, Timmy has typhoid. What will you do? I'm like, I just spent all my money on bacon. Does bacon cure typhoid? Put that on it. I don't know. Is it an it? Your sister has fallen and broken her ankle. How will you proceed? I'm like, shoot her? Your wife has cholera. What will you do? I'm like, why do I have a wife? Right? It's bad enough I used all my bacon to cure typhoid. Now I'm a gay 4th grader on the Oregon Trail. My coach is behind me like, yeah, she's pretty too. Do it. You guys are fun. I gave up drinking recently because I realized that I've never once woken up from a night at the bar and been like, oh my God, that was such a good idea. I wanted to go to bed while crying and eating a hamburger. Sweet. I was on my way to a party the other night. I stopped to ask these 2 guys for directions. The first guy starts telling me directions. Halfway through, his friend goes, dude, come on, tell her the real directions. That is something you don't do. It's an unwritten rule. You don't mess with people's directions. There are a couple of unwritten rules like that in life. Another one is you don't make your big friend ride backseat middle. You don't not use the usted form when speaking to a Spanish official. And this is the most important one. You don't laugh at your significant other while they're having an orgasm. Apparently. The worst part about not drinking is you meet the worst people. I went to a party, I was sober. I got stuck talking to the one guy that wanted to have a political debate. He's like, so let me get this straight. In your fascist mind, you're saying our government had nothing to do with 9/11? I was like, no, oh my God, what I said is that you smell like Jaeger shots, bad decisions, and skin. He asked me on a date, thank God. He asked me if I wanted to go to a water park. What grown woman doesn't love a good water park, right, ladies? What girl doesn't love going down a slide at 80 miles an hour, flying out of her bathing suit? 9th graders watching. I didn't want to go because I'm not the kind of girl you can dunk underwater and she'll come up like hair cascading, makeup unfazed. Let's take pictures and run in slow motion. Yeah. You dunk me underwater, I'm gonna come up looking like a drowned rat with a mullet, like, nah! My name's Iliza, good night.
We are rolling with Iliza Shlesinger.
That's right.
That's the pronunciation?
It's Shlesinger.
Shlesinger. See, there was There was a famous CBC news reporter named Joe Shlesinger. That's how he always used to say it.
Oh, he was saying it wrong. Every time I meet someone else and I tell them my last name, they're always like, oh, there's a famous da-da-da Shlesinger. I'm not related to any of them.
No Shlesinger.
Not unless Fred Schlesinger, the financial planner, that's my dad, is a famous person.
Yeah, you know Sarah McLachlan lives in Vancouver.
I did not know that, but I think all animal lovers have a bone to pick with her. Like, yeah, I love animals, but I don't need to be crying in the fetal position every time. And that commercial knows, this is a bit, whatever. That commercial knows when you're alone. Like, it comes on, it comes on like 1 in the morning if you're drunk. Like, it's like, hey, missing something from your life? How about a kitten? How about a one-armed kitten? How about a puppy? No one listens to it. Everyone does the same thing. They go, and then they turn it off without looking.
So is this your first time to Vancouver?
Yes. I've been to British Columbia. I've been to Kelowna.
Why?
Because we went for fun.
Who's we?
Me and my Canadian boyfriend.
Oh, you have a Canadian boyfriend?
I do. I'm a traitor.
Down in L.A.?
He lives in Calgary. And he lived with me in L.A.
How did this happen?
He saw me on Last Comic Standing.
Yeah.
And
I saw you too, and yet...
Well, he Facebooked me, and he wasn't a creep, and he was a professional hockey player, so I knew that he wasn't like some arms salesman that lurked in I don't know, an artillery shack with a missing eye, and so that helped to give him credibility.
Is he NHL?
He was.
Do we know him?
Well, his name is Jamie McLennan, and the only connection I have to Vancouver is that he used to back up Roberto Luongo in Florida, and so they're friends, and so that's my big connection to Vancouver.
So Kelowna, with a Canadian boyfriend. And how do you like Canadians, obviously?
You guys get a really bad rap.
Hey, sorry? What?
Yeah, you get about... In America, it's always like, yeah, you'd be gay, like Canada or whatever. And then I met Canadians, and I was like, oh my God, they're tougher than any... Canadians, you guys aren't...
You're going out with a hockey player.
Yeah, that's true. Who can, drink his weight in vodka. Yeah, Canadians are very respectful, very nice, they're tough. They're well-mannered. They're like Americans in the 50s. Like, before we got all jaded and our innocence was taken away from us from one gunshot. I like it. The country is clean. The people are nice. I don't realize how aggressive I am until I come to Canada.
Yeah. Where are you from?
I'm from Dallas.
Okay.
Where the Cowboys play.
Got it.
I just like to say that.
You a big football fan?
No.
Mavericks?
But I think that's my... Is it? No.
No.
It's the Mavericks.
Hey, you were a field hockey player.
Mm-mm.
What?
Lacrosse. It's like field hockey, but in the air.
Oh, lacrosse. Well, do you know, here's the trivia question. Canada's national sport is?
Lacrosse.
You just guessed that?
Yeah. Context clues.
It is. Very good.
I didn't know that. It's a Native American. I think it's an Iroquois sport.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, and I was okay.
So you were a bit of a jock?
Yeah. I mean, I'm from Texas. Everybody plays sports. Like, it's not an option not to. Mm-hmm. This is a job. I mean, I wasn't... If I went to a small private school, if I were in a public school, probably wouldn't have been varsity. But on private school, you pretty much just pay to be on the team. And I was. But we were pretty good because there weren't... The lacrosse isn't a southern sport. So we were one of the best teams in Texas. And then one year we went to Delaware and just got our asses handed to us. Like, those girls weren't even wearing coats and we couldn't move because we were so cold.
So when did you start doing... I know you did improv in high school.
Yeah.
And see, I've been studying up on you.
Thank you. You read a bio.
Yeah, and you've done sketch.
Did sketch.
And then you got into stand-up.
I went to school in Boston, and then I moved to LA, and I was like, I graduated college early, and I was like, I'm going to do stand-up because my comedic thought process, I used to envision, like, the way I saw comedy was in scenes and characters, which is, I grew up watching, like, Kids in the Hall and Living Color.
Canadian.
Yes, no, I know. Mike Myers, Jim Carrey, all these guys, these are great characters, and I used to grow up with that. And then my thought process started turning less about the scene and more about a monologue versus a dialogue. And that's what stand-up is, it's a monologue. Yeah. And I was tired of playing team sports, and I was like, I'm going to do this one alone, be alone on stage.
Have you gone back to improv at all since your success in stand-up?
No.
You can say with a sneer.
No, it's such a great skill. When you get a good improv troupe, it's a thing of beauty. But there are so many, like stand-up, there's so many bad improv troupes. Really sours the bunch. I haven't gone back. I don't know if I'll ever go back.
So when did you start stand-up? How old were you? Because you're only like 12.
I'm 12. I'm 27, and I started about 5 years ago.
So when was Last Comic Standing though?
2 years ago.
2
years ago.
I saw that season.
Oh, good. You were the one. You were the one that saw it. It was 2 years ago. It ended August of 2008. So it's just now been about 2 years. Wow. So I've been a comic for about 5 years, but I've been a national touring headliner making money for 2.
Yeah, that's a little crazy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, watching you in it, you were in it to win it.
I was. I came to play.
So this is your sports background coming out, right?
Honestly, yeah, and I feel weird saying that, like, if I'm ever around, like, athletes, but I think growing up playing sports, even if you suck, it's still that mentality of you didn't come here to lose, and it's that go-getter, like, I'm going to push myself, and that's what that was. It was a competition. It wasn't an open mic. It wasn't, like, they gave you, like, you have to do a bit. It's 2 minutes long. You have to do a bit about this. You have 2 days to come up with this. Like, it was a lot of time constraints and a lot of rules. So it was a competition.
How much material did you have? Like, were you writing on the fly because you'd only been in it a couple
The last
years?
competition, I remember I wrote some jokes that I had never done before, and I was like, I'm going to go on Comedic Instinct with this, and I'm going to try them on TV. Because that's what comedy's about. It's not about, it's about having balls of steel and going out there and having an idea of what's funny. That's what makes a good comic, is you get an idea versus researching. So I had a bunch of material, like, backlogged, and then it was just a question of, what material do you do? Like, you don't want to do all your great stuff for a show, and then it's only 2 minutes, but then you're out of stuff. So it was about portioning it out strategically. I don't remember how much I had, but thank God I have more now.
Yeah, because you were really thrust into the spotlight, and obviously, touring and getting a lot of gigs and headlining. Like, were you a headliner at that time?
I was a feature. The improv chain had been pretty good about, like, sending me to the improvs around Los Angeles, and they always sent me to open or to feature for black comics. I was actually friendly with Bill Bellamy before he hosted the show because I was his feature, or his opener, I guess, about a year before. And then, like, Bruce, I'd won a contest, I opened for him. Mark Curry, like, they thought it was so funny and cute, but the little white girl with the black guys. So those were fun crowds to, like, cut your teeth on. Yeah. I was a feature, and I was getting respect around town, but this was like, hey, you won the show, now you're a headliner. Hope you have an hour. Yeah. And I did, thank God. And if I didn't, I faked it.
Yeah. And you're also the youngest and first female. Yep. Young and beautiful. Were there...
Most beautiful winner.
The most beautiful winner, that too. So three first.
Yeah, sorry, Felipe Esparza.
Did you watch this year, by the way?
I did, and I know him. He's a sweetheart. Yeah, I performed at the finals. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I didn't watch. God, no. But I performed at the finals. Watch it.
Oh, see, that was the one I didn't watch. I didn't see the final. I watched all of them.
Oh.
So, where was I? Oh, yes, Young and Beautiful. Were you resented by others? I mean, one, only a couple years into it, and also, oh, she's a cute chick.
I have a pretty good reputation for the most part. I think I'm pretty well respected among my peers, and, I'm nice. I'm not a jerk. I go out of my way to be nice to people. At the end of the day, if anyone says anything mean about me, I've never heard it, and my friends have never heard it. I'm sure they do. I'm sure it's why her, not me. She doesn't deserve it, da-da-da. But I think once you meet me and watch my show, it's like, all right, even if I don't like her or like her, I can't deny that I have to respect this person. And I do the same with other comics. I can't say the same for the people I was on tour with. They hated me.
And who were you on tour with?
The Losers.
Oh, okay. And they're doing that this year, too, right? Is that what they do?
It's great. The tour, what they failed to realize that I totally got was the tour is a great place to get a grassroots following. You get to tour, you make money, you get to go into these amazing performing arts centers, and you tour the country. And it's just such a great kickoff to a career. And they spent the whole time just, like, wishing me dead. And I spent the whole time not eating and losing weight because I was nervous to be around everyone. So I was super thin.
So win-win.
Win-win thin.
Yeah, I guess, but could you put yourself in their position? So
nope.
You're in second place or third, and the person that wins, you're thinking, why them? And then now you have to tour with them.
But here's the thing. I have from talking to the producers of the show, like, it's not like you lost by 2 votes. Like, the guy that was in behind me, he lost by like 2 million votes. So it isn't like, oh, you almost had it.
Right.
I can't put myself in their position because I was raised to be a gracious loser. Lose a game, handshake, good game. That's what playing sports is about. Right. Not you lose a game, punch in the face, fuck you, I hope you eat it and die. Like, you can say that when you win. You can't say that when you lose.
And every year the prize gets bigger, right? It was $250,000 this year. What was it?
The same as mine. Yeah, I think the last couple of years. The first 2 guys I don't think had the same prize. I know that sucks for them. But when I won, it was $250,000 and a car, which I needed, and a holding deal with NBC, which is not. I mean, it was
I made a bunch of money and didn't do anything.
Yeah.
It's great.
So it is great. Yeah, I mean, it changed your life, obviously. Because here you're sitting in a luxurious dressing room.
Look where I've made
New
it to.
Westminster.
This fucking closet in the back of a comedy club where I'm not allowed to leave the room.
With your dog.
I don't know where she is.
Yeah,
Probably chewing her way out. I think she's...
Oh, there she is, under the desk. Yeah. Now, it used to be that female comics were not so fetching. You know, if you think of...
Most of them still aren't.
Well, but there are a lot that really are. Yeah. And, you know, some people, some critics, I mean, if you go online, they might say, oh, people only like her because she's good looking. But we can differentiate between the funny good-looking ones and the ones that aren't.
Look, I'm not that good-looking. Like, I'm a cute blonde girl. Like, let's get serious. Like, it's not... No one's ever, like, stopped me on the street and been like, I'm sorry, do you model? Because I have a trunk that I'd like you to get in.
So maybe, yes, we're just comparing you to former stand-up comics.
Look, as far as comics go, we're not an attractive bunch. So, yeah, I'm...
Male and female.
Oh, yeah, as far as comics go, like, yeah, I'm one of the prettier ones, but that's about where it ends, and... I mean, if you see the act, like, people don't laugh because you're pretty.
Yeah.
They hate you because you're pretty.
Well, the women.
Yeah, but attractive male comics, I've seen sometimes tend to have a hard... at first, there's a bit of a hurdle to win over the audience because they come on stage, and if you're a nerd in the crowd, you think, that's the guy that used to beat me up. That's the guy that went out the girl I liked. Yeah. And when people look at me, they're like, oh, she's the cheerleader. She's the one that wouldn't be my prom date. And I'm like, I didn't even have a prom date. And I was the mascot in high school. So take your angst and go to a fucking indie rock concert and leave me alone.
So yeah, and maybe you can look at, you know, comics as sort of being the outsiders, and now it's their chance to get up and, you know...
For revenge.
Yeah, for revenge or whatever. And you're right, that we see the good-looking people and think that, I mean, you were never an outsider, were you? You were probably popular in school.
I was always the class clown, so there were the cool kids. Yeah. But I was always accepted because, I mean, look, I wasn't the first kid to call if there was a party. And I wasn't like the girl that everyone wanted to ask out, but I was funny. So guys liked me because I was funny, and girls liked me because I was funny. And that's probably the only way I made it through. Yeah. If I wasn't funny, oh God. I have to fall back on my junior varsity lacrosse skills.
Yeah. And what about acting? Because we mentioned improv.
What about acting?
Yeah, an NBC holding deal. Like you could be an actor.
People always ask me, like, do you do any acting? I'm like, if by acting you mean audition for everything and book nothing, then yes, I do a lot of acting. I audition for a lot of stuff. I've taken acting lessons.
Are you good?
I don't know. I don't, probably not. Yeah, I'm okay. I don't know. I'm good with comedy. Like, if you asked me to do a scene where my mom was dying of cancer and I had to cry, I don't know. I could probably pull. I don't know if the answer is I'm good. Ask the casting directors, and they'll say no. I actually did just book a pilot. And I'm hosting a show, so hopefully that gets picked up. I'll tell you more about it if it gets picked up. Well, you'll see it, I guess.
Okay.
So that's fine.
Yeah. Hey, you also, what is the weekly thing?
The weekly news.
Weekly news. That's not what you're talking about, hosting a thing.
No, this is a real TV show that I've been the weekly news, WEAKLY, on thestream.tv. It's my own news show. It's an irreverent, sketchy kind of news show where we just kind of rag on everything. And it's kind of devolved into more just me yelling at my assistant, my IM girl named Alexis. But we have a little cult following, and people come to shows and they yell out catchphrases, and it's become something pretty cool. And the whole station lost its sponsorship, so the show had to go away, but we might get it back. So I'm very much looking forward to that, because I didn't realize how much people liked the show until I couldn't do it anymore.
So how long did that go?
We were just, I think 3 years, maybe 2, and it was like every week, and I felt there was a need for a show that wasn't about, like, bad pop culture. Like, I'm done talking about Kim Kardashian. Like, it's enough. Good. So we talk about, and it's not about political agenda, but it's just about getting a dialogue going with people about what's in the news and affecting you, and strange stories and funny things that happen in different towns. And it just became something pretty cool, and so I miss it. It makes me sad that we don't have it right now.
I saw you talking to people down probably Venice Beach or somewhere about tattoos. Was that on Weekly, or where was that?
Everybody sees that. I shot that with my cousin a long time ago, just as something to do, because I think most tattoos are so douchey. And so it's a thing exploring what these tattoos are about. And he did a good job editing it. It came out pretty funny. We just did that. We ended up putting it on the Weekly News, but we had done that just for fun.
Yeah, because you ask a lot of questions that I want to ask people with tattoos, but I think they're going to stab me.
Like, what were you thinking? Especially on Venice Beach.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, it's filthy. I wouldn't go.
But, with a camera pointing at them, they think, oh, it's comedy, it's funny,
I'm
proud of them.
I'm very good at walking the fine line between, I'm making a spectacle / joke out of you, but you don't know it, because it's not mean-spirited.
Because you're cute.
Usually people can sink themselves. Yes, because I'm cute. Doesn't really fly with other women, and some people just didn't speak English, or we're too stupid.
Yeah,
so it works. Yeah, go for the tourists.
So, and then you were talking about the tramp stamp thing. You walked away and you had one. Is that a real
We
one?
got it done there. It's henna.
Okay, good.
That would be so funny.
Yeah.
Somebody...
So no tattoos for you?
No tattoos for me. Somebody wrote me an email. They're like, I swear to God, they were like, how can you sit there and criticize other people when you have a tattoo on your back? And I was like... exactly. I was like, you missed the punchline. Please erase yourself from my email list.
Yeah.
Enough.
So yeah, that's... What else? Oh, you got a blog, and that's right.
Yeah.
And actually a good one.
It's a good blog, thank you.
Yeah.
It's called that'smynightmare.com.
Yeah.
And it's just, for lack of a better term, kind of poetically gripe about little things. Not the economy, but things like I hate when people have dreadlocks. I hate when tomatoes are in my food.
Thank you, that's another one.
Yeah, and I've asked for them. I don't like people that ride bicycles in the car lanes. I don't like Gladiator sandals or any energy drink except for Red Bull. So I just talk about it, and people seem to like it.
Yeah, and with some depth too, and writing ability, not just.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think if you're gonna have an opinion, you need to validate it with. You have to validate it with a concrete point of view, not just I don't like it cause. And sometimes there's sociological or anthropological data you can apply to that, like people do this because of that, or people wear this because they feel this way, and it's a collective mindset, whatever. Usually, I'll just be driving down the street, I'll see something, and I'll just be like, ugh, that's my nightmare. Like a baby crying on a plane. I'm like, oh, this is my nightmare.
One day, Eliza.
Oh, yeah, well, no, that's why I never say anything, because one day I will have a baby, and I'll be crying, and then I will yell at anyone that yells at me. I'll be like, whenever I have a baby. 56 years I put up with this.
So do you try to put out the blogs with certain frequency, or just whenever you think of something?
I mean, I try, but it doesn't happen. It's when inspiration hits you over the head.
Is that how you write the stand-up too?
Yeah, somebody actually asked me that today. Everybody has a different process for writing. Mine is, I'll be hanging out doing whatever, I'll be sitting there doing anything, and a premise or a thought or a word will come into my head. I'll write it down. And then when I go to work out, because I do a show pretty much every night, at least maybe 1 or 2, maybe even 3, and I'll go on stage and I'll work that out, depending on the show. Some shows you have to do material and give a show, but some rooms are there so you can work out new jokes.
Yeah.
So I'll get up there, like I just wrote something about, I got mad because I went to this you guys have Whole Foods here?
Yeah.
Went to Whole Foods and they had organic chicken, and I started getting upset because, first of all, they had named the chicken, they named her Rosie. Like, try Rosie the chicken. And I'm like, that's so sadistic and fucked up that you would name it. That's why kids on farms don't name the cattle, because they're going to die. And then I just started, like, this whole thing. I'm like, we need so many chickens every day. We don't have time to massage each one and give it, a bath and then feed it diamond dust and then kill it while it's having an orgasm. Like, we need to get these chickens out. So it's enough. And so it's just... They're more rants that drive me insane.
You just asked if we had Whole Foods, and I know you're asking about a Sarah McLachlan commercial too. Yesterday I saw Joe Mandy, and he started to say that he performed a lot of colleges, and then he stopped and went, "You guys call them colleges up here?" And then it was like, "Yes, of course."
No, because there's...
So, do you have any other questions?
No, those are the only 2. No, because those apply to me.
Because we're going to get any reference that you say, whether we have it or not, because...
If I say something in feet, will you understand the conversion?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That was the only one I needed. I think everything else is fine.
How tall are you?
In feet?
Yeah, that's what we
feet
said.
In inches?
Yeah,
5'6".
There we go.
But I don't know what that would be in watts.
I don't know either. Yeah, watts. Yeah, that's right, Eliza.
Kilowatt?
Ask your boyfriend.
He probably knows it. He says, this is kind of gross.
Go
but
ahead.
I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
He'll say like little Canadian things that I don't even know if Canadians know it, but he says them. The other day, like we were in traffic and somebody drove around a corner very fast. And he was like, "Oh, that guy's coming hard." And I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" He's like, "He's coming hard." I was like, you don't get that? He's like, "What? Oh, you're gross." I'm like, "You're gross. You're gross that you said that. You're not aware."
Yeah, I think that might be a curling term or something. Or
maybe. It's all the ice things.
So when you write your blog, going back to your blog, does that ever make it into your stand-up or vice versa?
Yeah, sometimes little jokes I'll have in stand-up I'll insert if it's applicable.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll I don't think I've ever taken something from the blog and talked about it because I don't want to rant too much on stage. You don't want to get into that because then the audience doesn't know where to laugh, and I already have trouble talking too fast. But there's some of the lines are somewhat interchangeable.
So what? You don't rant on stage?
I do, but they're short. Like you'll see one tonight about boarding zones or boarding groups. Like
well, maybe this is something.
Oh, I'm sorry. What do you guys call them? Boarding herds? I don't know what they call them here. You know, when you get on a plane.
Okay. Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. It's lost in translation already.
All right, boarding. But in context, if you're talking about airports. They were going to get it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, rants are good. There's a fine line. Again, like you have to be interesting enough, and you got to give people a chance to process it. There's nothing worse than somebody getting up there and like pontificating on some sort of socio-political matter, and you're just like, oh my God, stop. Like, nobody cares. Yeah. So I feel if I talk about chopped tomatoes, it's more fun.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we don't want to be told how to think. We just want to know, like, what do you think?
Here's the thing. Here's what I think. Somebody asked me this the other day. The people that come to comedy clubs, for the most part, are often blue-collar people. I mean, they're white-collar, but like most people are blue-collar, middle class. That's the majority of people. You have children, you have jobs, you have stress, you have everything. Like, you have all these, I guess, stresses in life, and I take it as an honor that you're gonna spend about $50 each between tickets and drinks and food to come to my show, and you're gonna devote an hour plus of your time to listening to what I have to say, and I take that very seriously. So I'm here to entertain you and make you laugh. And the last thing you need is me shoving a political agenda down your throat, or right wing or left wing, depending on, like, no, you're not going to agree with everyone, and nobody wants to hear it. And also, I'm 27, and as intelligent as I might be, if you're older than me, you don't want to hear what I have to say, unless it's brilliant, which it's not, because I don't really do politics.
Thank you for appreciating that.
It's just the case, and yeah, if you want to go up there and act all liberal, that's the safer bet, because most people are liberal, and it's better to make fun of conservative people, but that really gets me going. These people paid to see you. This isn't your time to fuck around on stage.
Do your family tell you this? Do they impart that kind of wisdom, like saying, we don't want to hear this? No?
It's just the way I feel about it.
And how do they feel about your career?
My parents are overly supportive. Yeah. So, like, questions...
Like too much?
I mean, I don't want to say too much, but like every day, like, it's like, so what are you working on next? Did your agent get that for you? Did your manager get that for you? My dad will be like, when you have your meeting next time, tell them about me. Like, they're so supportive.
Tell them about him. What does he do?
My dad is a New Yorker, and so he can talk, and he's the funniest man I know.
Always wanted to be in showbiz secretly?
Well, if you ask him, I'll tell you. Can we finish this after? Is that okay?
Yeah.
I'll tell you the dad thing. It's actually very funny.
Okay, the dad. That's where we are. Thanks. Why don't I turn on the right microphone and start talking? That would be a step in the right direction. Are you enjoying part one with Iliza Shlesinger, former winner of NBC TV's Last Comic Standing? I hope so. You're listening to What's So Funny on CFRO 102.7 FM. Also available on podcast. Go to iTunes and check us out. What's So Funny? And by all means, leave a comment. A review, if you will. A star, perhaps. You may like it, you may not like it. Doesn't matter. You know, there's no such thing as bad publicity. That's what they say. I'm Guy McPherson, and we're going to pause while, during this interview, Iliza actually had to go out to do her show. And so we are now going to play a clip from her comedy special on some U.S. network. I don't know what it was. And then we'll come back and play part two with Iliza. Hope you're enjoying. Thanks for listening.
But, like, seriously, like, just, I don't have, like, a ton of sex. I'm going to put that out there because we're, like, BFF right now. But, like, hand job, it doesn't happen. As adults, it's pretty much you make out, you rub a little bit, and then you have sex, or you give a beach or something. I mean, you can't do a hand job. If you pull out a hand job, you'd be like, what are you doing? This tickles, like, stop, so uncomfortable. You don't do hand jobs, right? And this guy was like, I was like, I don't want to hook up. I'm like, I had to go or something. He's like, come on. He's like, what about just a hand job? And I was like, I'll tell you what, fucker. I'll give you a hand job. But it's got to be on my terms. It's 45 minutes long. No lotion. And you don't break eye contact. And then right when you know what the best, if you're annoyed, turn it on. I never talk about this is great. Turn it on him. Like, as it's about to go down, he's like, oh, do you want to, why would I ever want that around me? No, it goes back at him. Can I tell you this? I had a boyfriend, and now that I'm looking back at the story, there's a reason I don't have one anymore. When you get the goo on your hand, because, like, he's right at that stage where he's like, oh, that feels so good. Just, like, he's here, just go. They get very upset. I deserve to be alone. That makes sense. It's good. The hell was I? Oh yeah, so hand jobs. He's like, why don't you give me a hand job? And so I gave him my conditions, and he didn't get the joke. And he's like, oh, that doesn't sound fun. He's like, if you're gonna do a hand job, like, do something cute. Wear something cute, use lotion, do something cute. He kept saying cute. I was like, I don't think cute is the proper adjective when describing it. What do you want me to use, kitten paws?
Part 2 with Iliza with an I, Shlesinger. I can't say it. Iliza, really funny.
Thank you.
Not only the youngest and the first female and the best looking winner, but maybe the funniest winner of Last Comic Standing.
I don't know.
Yeah, you don't want to say. You can't
No,
say.
but there are guys that are very... no, I don't know about that.
You know what is hard? It is hard. Comedy on TV is so different from comedy live, isn't it?
It is, because you have to censor what you say. You can't say brand names. You can't say certain words. You have to make it a certain time. You can't stretch and relax.
And you don't get the energy of the crowd either.
No.
Yes.
Depends on what kind of TV it is, but...
Yeah.
I love doing live shows, theaters and clubs and colleges, and it's a great way to connect. Like, I feel like I'm talking to a group of people that I'm friends with. Mm-hmm. That's how I look at it.
And you're actually very likable.
I'm very likable, thank you.
On stage. I mean, that's a big part.
I think it is. It's about almost ingratiating yourself and...
Without sucking up. I mean,
No.
that's just... It seems like
you
enjoy yourself.
You're either likable or you're not. A lot of comics are likable.
Yeah.
But then there's some people... you have about 30 seconds to impress the audience. You can always get them back. But, like, when I walk up there, if you don't know who I am, it's like, who's this blonde girl? And then I realize that that's a hurdle that I have to jump over and get you. So I've always worked on having a really strong opening, or really an attention-grabbing opening. I used to open up by talking, like, in this voice. I'd be like, how are you guys? Oh, my God, my day was this. And I would talk for about 45 seconds until I could hear them, like, okay. And then I'd be like, I'm just kidding, I don't talk like that. And then they'd be like, oh, she gets it. She's not annoying. So I've always had that urgency to get the audience right up front.
You're doing some great voices. Do you ever do any animation work?
I've auditioned for animation work.
Okay, this is theme. It's an ongoing theme here.
Get out of here. No, not you.
When we left, you were about to tell me about your dad.
If you ask my dad what he does, he'll tell you with a New York accent, well, I was in show business for many, many years. Which, like...
How old a man?
Is that bad that I don't know? My dad's like 54,
okay.
55 maybe.
Yeah.
My dad, maybe emceed some shows on Long Island when he was like 19 or 20, but my dad was not in show business, but he'll tell you he was in show business for many, many years. And now he's a financial planner, and he's one of the best in the state of Texas.
Oh.
He's won all these awards, but he also gives motivational speeches in that realm of financial planning. And he told me the other day he was giving a lecture to about 50 people in Las Vegas, and he used one of my jokes. It's like, I used one of your lines. I'm like, you can't do that. It's my line, and that's hacky.
Unless he gives credit. How about that?
Nope.
Nope, not even.
I remember he told me, it was about 50 women, and the way I opened my set was I said, the last time I was in Las Vegas, it was to watch my daughter win Last Comic Standing, and I'm like, that was your in with the crowd? Surprised I didn't walk out.
Hey, but it's pretty lucky. He's one of the top financial advisors, and you came into some cash.
I did.
So you're doing well.
He helped me with it.
Yeah.
I don't really know what happened. I mean, I know where it is, but I don't know what it does.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. T-bills.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's funny how sometimes you hear of children getting into show business, not children, but grown people, and their parents kind of maybe wanted to, but never did,
Both of my parents are very funny, super creative, and I think they both could have, done something in the field of art had they not become parents.
You have siblings?
I do have a brother.
And what's he do?
My brother is I have a brother. Move on from that question. I have a brother. It's really hard to explain.
Okay, fair enough. And what would you do if you weren't doing comedy?
Ooh, I'd probably be a cat.
I don't think you can do that.
I can't do that? Okay. If I weren't allowed to do comedy, can I do acting or like nothing in that realm?
Yeah, no. Like, 'cause you went to university, right?
I did. I went to college in Boston for film.
Okay.
I was a film major. If tomorrow they were like, there's no more stand-up comedy, there's no more comedy, there's no more acting, there's no more of that, I would probably enjoy making gift baskets.
Hey, now, wasn't one of your blogs ranting against
shitty / crappy holiday gift baskets? That's different. I would love to make cookie bouquets. I love doing crafts. I love baking. So I do like, and I actually bought a domain name for a gift basket company a while ago. So it's called Helena Handbasket. Get it? And we would do gift baskets for like all kinds of random occasions. Like, you moved into your dorm, here's a 6-pack of beer and some condoms and some ramen noodles and a copy of The Matrix or something like that. So.
And a mixtape.
That I made, so you'll like me. Probably something with crafts.
Okay.
Or an archaeologist.
I
like to dust. I like how they pick at little things all day.
Okay. Because, I mean, I notice your vocabulary out there is, you can tell you went to university. Your blog's very well written. And I saw there was a comment. I don't know. Do you read all the comments on your blog?
Some of them.
Somebody said, hey, I've been trying to get a hold of you. I'm a publisher. I'd love to... You didn't
Somebody
read
said that? Which blog was it? We have to go. We have to go.
Yes, and he gave his address.
Was that today?
Go to it and I'll show you.
Here's the thing. Like, how legit is that? Like, if you are in the world of getting a hold of people, you can get a hold of someone. So you're probably like some dude publishing it from, like, your garage.
Who knows? But just think how you met your boyfriend.
In a garage. In a creepy online...
Facebook. Yeah. You're giving hope to Facebook stalkers everywhere.
I know, right?
Now, so your dad's from New York. Your mom's from Texas?
My mom's from New York as well. They're both...
Because I was going to say, like, did you work to get rid of a Texas accent?
I never had one.
No?
Because my parents are from Long Island, and you tend to not have a Texas accent unless your parents had one. Like, I had friends that had it here and there, but for the most part, I didn't have one. On occasion, I'll get lazy on some words. Like, I say y'all. And if I'm in a southern state, I tend to fall into it when I'm talking, because it's I kind of get lazy, and I'll just be like, I don't even know what y'all are talking about. Okay. But I don't have one. Non-regional dialect.
Yeah, it's hard to believe you've only been doing this for 5 years.
I know.
It is. Did you buy material ever? Is this all yours?
It's all mine. I get really fired up about that. I remember when I first started, I could do a show like 3 years in, and someone would be like, wow, that was really funny. Do you write all your own stuff? I'm like, no, I hired a writer for this show at a pizzeria because I really wanted to have a killer 2 minutes. I write everything, and I've had people offer to write me stuff. Look, if you have a sitcom, if you have a talk show, you need writers.
Yeah.
But I don't. And this early in the game, if you have someone writing for you, you're in it for the wrong reasons. I mean that wholeheartedly. There are comics that have been doing it around as long as me or around that time, and they have writers. And I think it's gutless, and I think you're an actor then. You're not a stand-up comic.
Right. It seems the way your mind works, I mean, like you talk fast and everything, that you've got lots to say.
I have so much to say. I only have a couple of friends, maybe 2 people I would bounce a joke off of. Mm-hmm. And even then, like, sometimes they can help, a friend can help you to rethink it or think of it in a different way.
Yeah.
But at the end, if you have someone writing for you, I think that your point of view gets lost and you have nothing to say.
Right. And you have fun up there, too. Is it a grind sometimes? Like you have to fake it?
Yeah.
Because it is showbiz.
Yes. Like you're there to do a job, and there have been times where I've been on like death's door, like had a flu so sick, or super jet lagged, or just exhausted from working, and you got to get up there. It doesn't matter what it takes. Get a Red Bull. Nobody wants to hear about how tired you are. Get a Red Bull, get a coffee, get both, which you won't get to sleep after. There have been times where the crowd's been awful, or it's just been, like, the crowd's been terrible for whatever reason, or it was just a bad night, and I've kind of gone on autopilot, or there's been a fight, and I try to, like, ignore it, and you go on autopilot, and you just, it's all right, you just get through it. But for the most part, I'm trying to be present, and I really enjoy it. And also, you come up with your best stuff on stage.
Do you?
Yeah, absolutely. You're riffing on stuff, and it's so important to be, like, present in what you're doing.
Does the traveling get you? How much do you travel?
A lot, and it does. Sometimes. I don't realize it does, and then I'll start snipping at people. You spend a lot of time alone, which is why I got Blanche.
So she travels with you everywhere?
Yeah. That's what I got her for, because she's an angel.
How does she... like, she can't sit with you on the plane, obviously.
She sits under the seat, and she's very quiet. She just likes to be around me. But the travel, It's not that it gets you. I actually love traveling. Like, when I'm home, I'm like, oh, I don't want to go travel. But once I'm on the road, I love it. I love seeing America and Canada now. I like traveling, and I like that hotels have free HBO, and I like room service, and I like doing clubs, and I love the fans, and I love coffee.
Have you been to Europe? Have you done England, Australia?
I did some rooms in England. They were smaller shows. I was visiting a friend of mine, and so I got up, and that was fun. That was semi-well received. I actually just got back from, I did Nando's Comedy Festival in South Africa. I was in Johannesburg for about 5 days.
Oh, wow.
So that was some jet lag that I'm still getting over. That was fun.
Yeah.
For my money, that's the best crowd I've ever performed for.
Just because of all the factors of where you were? Or they
I
were
don't
just...
know. I don't know why they were so good. Maybe because they paid and it was like a gorgeous theater. But that crowd, you could have read a phone book and killed. Like, it was amazing. Canadian crowds are amazing too. American crowds are great. But that South African crowd, I dream about it.
Do you still have those shows where it's...
No.
No.
At this point, you're paying me to come into a club. Like, I have my act, and you know what if you're coming to see me, you know what you're getting. And people all want to laugh, and what makes us human, and what I find so great about comedy is that we all have similar experiences, which are what I talk about. I talk about the way men and women talk to each other, the way girls talk, our insecurities. You can laugh at my insecurities. Everyone wants to laugh at someone. And so there have been times where I'll go up to do like a small show in LA to work out, and the crowd is exhausted because they've already seen like 15 comics, and it doesn't get to me. Like, whatever.
Is it, there seems to be a big divide in the comedy world, the alternative scene. You know, because I listen to a lot of comedy podcasts, and there's just a rotating, all the same alt comics being the guests all the time. Are you part of that? Are you outside of that? What do you make of all that?
That's a good question. I think that a good comic is someone that's funny in either room, whether it be a mainstream club in the middle of Kentucky or a basement in like West Hollywood, or, you know, a coffee house in Brooklyn. I've gone into alternative rooms and done great. Because at the end of the day, I don't care how nerdy you are, I don't care what obscure band you want to listen to, you're still a human being. And yeah, I can get up there and make jokes about string theory and how it pertains to my shoestrings and how that's ironic because I went through a wormhole to get here. And but in my mind, first of all, the reason they're called alternative comics is because this is like around when Ben Stiller and Greg Barrett, like, were starting out comedy, Janine Garofalo. These were comics that could not get booked in clubs and big rooms, so they would perform in alternative venues, laundry room, coffee house. It had nothing to do with the material. I mean, I guess because you're not getting booked, but so for people like, my comic's alternative, it's alternative comedy, most of them don't know that. And people think I'm alternative because I talk about weird things, but that's not something that people can relate to. You being obscure and stuff. And so, in my mind, if you want to call yourself an alternative comic and be a dick about it, in my mind, the only difference between alternative comics and mainstream comics are that mainstream comics had sex in high school.
Hey!
That's where your angst comes from, with your side parts and your skinny jeans.
Yeah, and there's so many different types of alternative comics, too. And it seems like maybe it's the hipster crowds that, like, if you went up, you would have to pretend that you were reading notes as you're doing your material.
I brought up, I think it's just so rude to do. I brought up a notepad with had keywords because you want to, if you're working out, you want to remind yourself. But that's annoying when someone's like, "What else?" and they're reading. It's like, you're not that brilliant. Like, take it down a notch. I can get up there and talk about organic chicken. I can get up there and talk about, oh my gosh, a billion alternative subjects that I have bits about, like window washers or hamburgers or basements. Like, and is that alternative? I don't know. Do I consider myself a mainstream comic? Sure. And those are the ones that make a lot of money.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, this is very important, funny is funny. And that's all. It doesn't matter. I don't care how tight your jeans are. I don't care what college you played football with. At the end of the day, funny is funny.
And you're funny.
I hope so.
Eliza, it was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Blanche, you were fantastic.
You stink. She smells so bad.
She's talking to the dog, not me.
She smells so bad.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, see, look at that. The hour isn't even up. But you can't control these things when you're doing a remote interview. My thanks to Iliza Shlesinger for talking to me. That was recorded at Lafflines Comedy Club in New Westminster a couple weeks ago, first night or second night of the Global Comedy Fest. So I hope you enjoyed that. I did. And to run, I got to say that the show is What's So Funny. The station is CFRO. The city is Vancouver. The frequency, 102.7 FM. We are Vancouver's cooperative radio station. I'm Guy McPherson, and to wind up the hour, we're going to play some more clips from Iliza Shlesinger in action. I apologize, the last clip was not from her TV special because I couldn't get the clip to run, so I played something else. But this one is indeed from the Iliza Shlesinger, I still can't say the word, comedy special.
Attention with a very specific sexual position. I'm going to ask you a question. What is the name of the sexual position where the female is bent over facing out and the male is behind her? What's it called? Very good, New York. And I did that joke in Tennessee, and the guy's answer was, mandatory. And while he's not incorrect, it's not part of the joke. So here's my problem with it. Calling it doggy style makes it sound like only dogs enjoy this position. And that's not true. All animals have sex in this fashion. I don't know if you know, all animals have sex with the female bent over facing out. Who's clapping for that? All animals have sex with the female bent over facing out and the male behind her. Human beings are the only creatures that make love facing one another, okay? All animals have sex that way. Think about it. You've never seen two goats, eyes locked, like... Seen two cows in their little cow bed looking at each other having sex like love you. For the guy, from the data I've collected, it seems that it's easier for him, okay? So for the girl, you pretend there's some sex going on up here, okay? The girl, she's bent over, texting, whatever we do during sex. Right? She's back here. The guy, you've got stability. This is an easy position. The girl's down here in a right angle, which is only comfortable for squares. I don't know. And he's here, right? You've got your stability. You've got your center of gravity. You've got your mirror set up, even though I asked you not to. Right? For the girl, never mind the physical stress that comes along with this position. A lot of core work, right, ladies? Very engaged, all muscles tight. Thank God you took those Pilates classes he gave you for Christmas, right? Doesn't compare to the mental stress of having to watch yourself get violated in this fun house of mirrors he's got set up. Because here's the deal, New York. I don't care if you're big, fat, thin, small, old, young. It does not matter. When you are parallel to the gravitational pull of the earth, gravity comes into play. They look like udders. He's back there. He's like, say my name. You're like, you guys are fantastic. Thank you so much.
So Iliza Shlesinger from her Comedy Central, I do believe, television special. Iliza Shlesinger. My thanks again to Iliza for doing the interview a couple weeks ago. I enjoyed talking to her. Next week, we have another recorded interview. Matt Kirshen, all the way from England, we'll be talking to. And you'll be listening to, hopefully, Sunday, 11 p.m. till midnight, right here on Co-op Radio, 102.7 FM. Thanks for listening. See you next week.